Yeah. So to get 40% is just over the top.
And it's, and the thing is, that most stores are out.
Yes, I can do that.
They're still working. They're young. Right, they're under 65. This is what we need. Oh,
After leisure, I'll sign it one time. Actually, with that.
Yeah.
It has to stay here. It's got to be signed.
And by extension, you know, what's free?
exactly. We also have
The only thing free is free lunch and a mouse.
Olmec is definitely, and Brent is in Geauga.
Yes.
And he's working.
It's not.
Yes. Well, right, as we said, we just blessing you.
For everyone.
Well, they also
That's the super frustrating part.
oh, no, I wanted to get Carol.
Sorry, John. I still want her. Yeah, no, go ahead. So your first name is Rita. Rita, okay. I usually deal with Gail. She's kind of Christian. I see her every day, every time. Carol, we had a couple questions.
Very effective. Yeah, very effective. Anyway, that
You're kidding.
well, now I gotta tell
There's this one was the one that So I just said, I didn't.
Oh my God. We're in good shape, aren't we? Oh my gosh. No.
I figured he was doing Hi.
We do everything from info at Geauga Health. Sorry, Geauga. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It does. Right. Yeah, if you go to the website, that's basically it's on the website where you can see all the reports, and then you all the also you can hear something
Oh, by the way,
the one where anything else? I bet that you were, there's something else that it was like 2 hours long. I was like, not so I watched it.
you'll see all the candidates.
Yeah, website though, is right up there. Yeah, it was started 5 o'clock. We left over around 5. I think it was violent. They already started. So, yeah, thank you. Hey, how's it going? How did you guys get out of it? My wife said, where are you? Like, it's a 2-hour presentation. Awesome. Yeah, I never in a million years expected a 2-hour presentation. I'm like, we have like 10 o'clock and like this week's maybe public session. Like, that's how it rolls around. Oh, it was tough. It was long. It was so long. Until then, the teacher, he said, you have to do 4 and go. You? I was doing 5, and I was exhausted. If he was up at 4, and I was exhausted. Okay, everybody looked tired. Everybody just looked tired. That's a long day. 6:30 to 11:45. I would have to ask you what I'm guessing it's only county. It's not a software. We have a software. We actually just approved the purchase of 3 software programs for epidemiologists. Because right now it's that stuff. So you get scans provided, not one document, provided two. Your limitations are but it's tough. Our next day, we did. You went to come to the OC, to us. So it's I did a presentation for that was for Lake County, so I can count. Will Eastlake, so we got like my boss good presentations, everything. A lot of so the book it was like And they generally spike. So, this stuff is just by the county level, right? You can't diagnose deeper on stuff.
No, because there's just so much. So you.
Yes, that's good.
I know.
Very strong. He is very loud.
Exactly, yes, yes. He is, yeah. Well, there's good as well. I tell like that, because I just be life right now. Because she goes, the times any county, they go, never would we do that. And that's actually. Well, that's why one time they commented last week, except for last week, last week. Not the middle, but it's like a lot of so we don't take 60,000 bags. And it's wow. That's also so I was oh well, I mean, yeah. We just bought software. There's a third one up there. Free software programs. So I don't even ask questions. It's like $3,000 a year. I was like, a year or a month or a day? You're like, so she went all three of them. I don't know exactly each one does, but more or less electronic machines. Or I like that. Which is why like this thing was this was last minute. Literally, she came and gave me this. She did an email. I was like, "Where is it?" She goes, "Oh, it's so consistent." I said, "I want it for some time. We got like this is pretty like 2 weeks before we walked in, and I was up for 4 hours. I printed a couple." And so I printed the ones I had. Yeah. And when you see something all of them start questioning Ohio is like high blood all these sort of things. You start to wonder why should we be hearing education towards life? Or what we help. So those are all things we need to look at and say, that's a county issue. We have to address it. Okay. So, those are all things I want to make sure we address. I mean, they're not small issues. This group? Oh, hey, I will. I will. Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, it was one that we were looking at. We're at 30% here. And then 89.7%, you see national average. And our conference, they go, just. People go, this is how. High school dropout is a big one. In our high school was 15.6%. Or they just not. So when she gave me this, I was like, oh, this is something else. So then I would ask, what do you think? I know. This is what they do and say. Right, exactly. I want to see budgets. Why do you hear budgets every year? Because you want to see if your reserve going up.
That's what I want to see. I actually might have been, I didn't see the whole thing.
Right.
Okay, and then the secretary was and then like they wanted to.
I would tell you this service.
We have cheap validation.
And that's heartbreaking. You're just telling your kids, like, you have a problem. Then somebody goes, show me this. And we go, we can't. Well, then you have to. Is it just me and you think there is? Exactly. I think it is. So, and it might not. They do. I mean, it's one thing for the unintentional drug abuse. So we had 31.5. This is back at 17. They went last. The national average is 19. So how are we at 31? I always choose I have one friend who's it's not some giant it's here's the fact. This is a statistical fact from a corner of where it comes from. This is the national fact. Why are we doing this? I usually and it's very awesome. I mean, it's like we got to prepare sergeant murder billiards. All I do is insurance. 6 months. I memorize actually my hero got nothing. So it means that me money and and I go, no, I did the audit. I gave you a recommendation. Because you never fixed it. So we had to address that. Last year, did we know we spend it? Did we accidentally? So I always do the board of last year, this year comparison. I tell you the things that you have to know. If you don't know, most of our payments up and down. So yeah, some of this that's where we're very people oriented, not I put all that. You're going to use stuff remote. I said, well, money was about 5 years. But if you want software, you have to put the money, talk to the 80 people, and then cycle it. But I said, I don't want to have to come years to come back. I go, it's really 60,000 for doctors. And they go, well, why? Software is expensive. Just financial software. We looked 3 years ago, and it was $3,000. So $4,000. That's still up to like 500, 600. They can do it. What's your yeah, we had before I was working here in Lakeland, fingerprint face scan, like check in. So you do the pop, there was always face scan, and it was like 5,000-6,000. I wasn't super now, and they doubled the price. So we said no, we're more. I think they thought you got years. I said, I'll do no check-in before I do. You know, but that's the hard part. We love it. It's all really found and consistent. So, yeah, I want to be able to have it up here for your what do you want to dress? Your 6 big jackets. I'm a big work together, so like it's so funny that you work the same company. They pay us to dress these stuff. It makes sense all this work together. What is efficient way? There's efficient way to be efficient way. And sometimes the best thing is software. That's what we're doing. Low level here, but I told them, which not the worst thing I say is it's a problem. You know, but that's why some of our newer staff, Sarah, who's an epidemiologist, she does like websites, Facebook, giving up all kinds of stuff. They're super good. Search. Yeah, they're super there's stuff where like, you know, outside in you go, that's easy. Then you get there, you go, that took 5 years to get this one data set. Yes. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So Skip and I don't always get eyes, but I told him, it's funny. So someone on board mental health, not the board, talking about the employees. I said, if I could take Skip and bridle it and direct it, I could probably come with anything. I just got to bridle it and send it. And his approach is how he's not going like this. And yell. And it's just, that's his personality. It's just how What's so funny is I talked to you guys and take his advice. She's next to him because I was at an event with her. He was totally different. And I was like, I just got to take his wife from this to us, like handcuffed together and we could just go. Yeah. He does. I mean, he walked the trail. That's what he does. I told him, I'm not sure if it's secret everything, but it's mental health. I'm always the best with this. I have my practice. Not joking. Again, I agree.
And what's nice is I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. There's not a lot.
So, yeah.
I try to show my kids like I show my kids all like on the job when you have tough up, the world works. And I said, when you think hurts right now, the world's doing twice to it. You hit you 5 times up there. And they don't always understand that's my wife. She likes I can't be more like, yo, how do you feel? I'm like, that's just not. I'm right. I'm like, and they're not even alive. So it's that.
I had brothers.
Yeah, so you're used to it, right? You're exposed. So you were exposed. That's we have 2 sons. So she's getting exposed to like these nonstop rough houses. Something to eat every night.
You too. Finally.
Right into what he was probably 4 or 5. And I'm sitting there
For a while.
My youngest just I look around and I see him Joe on the couch and go, oh, and he's like, dude, and he was so flat. And I was like, what's wrong with you? He's like, oh, he just like runs away. So, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, you're right. And he just runs. I'm like, oh, my, you're killing me, kid. I'm like, well, his house is great treat. But he's a boy. That's just how it is. That's I know it's how is she going to keep in good order? But man, there are days that just, and boys are those ones, right?
Yeah,
I remember walking.
it holds them up. The only way you know that is to yourself. And then when the weather goes out,
They need to be outside. Yes.
and when you're getting happy, they go out.
I know I just once there was someone different weather up here, new weather, and they can go outside. But you know, it's yeah, they'll go out and they'll do stuff. There's just so much. There's so much you can do outside. Like when it's freezing, and plus we're going to the yard. Gas. So it is a well, I will find stuff. Let me know.
That's over. I'm gone up to
It's sad.
and that's what I watch on video.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
You get out of here?
I think so.
Okay. All right, I'll see you later. Thank you. Yeah, let's- If you. Yeah, that one was last minute. They get an email version, and that's awesome because they've never put them out.
This guy, they're just following the narrative. Oh,
Well, this is the
This doctor, I
He
was
does
like,
not have the ability to make that statement.
I mean,
I realize.
they're not terrible.
I'm getting.
I make it as long as I want, and I just read it as far as I can.
all I can say is that's just awesome. I can't tell you the answer. I'm not going to mind. I mean, that's his thoughts. I don't have the data. I don't have the data, so I can't tell you.
If he does, they're probably not terribly in the, I've seen
Well, that's
some.
great. I mean, so are you coming to the commissioners tomorrow?
They've been in
You can bring it.
contact
I'll
with
take it. Because he'll be. He's coming, yeah.
He's gonna make a statement like that again.
I don't know what he's gonna say. I was asked to introduce him to the commissioners, I told him to do that. So he's gonna, he'll be there.
So then I said, I'll see them. Oh, yeah, I get those. Absolutely. I got this list. No, but I mean, I don't need to send it to all of them. Like this, there's one person is on the board. And then there's one.
Jim, sorry, can I borrow you for 1 second?
Jim.
I got something for Jim, I
They
apologize.
sit on the board that.
Okay, sorry. Carol's about to head out, she has the insert.
I know this isn't what it was.
She would have found.
And they refuse. That's why I'm like almost like. I don't know, this is. They're, and then I see, they're telling other people. It's arguing. Yeah. Well, it was a career in Canada. She just said, no, I don't know. Close Schwab's agenda. I'm not gonna.
Providing cigarettes.
But the problem is, he just stood over and he put yourself. We only knew if there was a reactor. Yeah. So if they leave, they're gonna be close. They can't. Even you're not just handing it, you're not just, I don't know, you know, it's email. No, that's what we do. That's all I continue to like get the yeah, I'm asking what I Yeah, I believe in the savings program, we still have the papers on that. We are. We've not printed that. Someone scans that in on their phone. We call her. What are they saying? Actually, the same thing. My husband, I have been involved in city stuff. They've been so I have to send that myself to that.
I love our conversation. I called her.
And I understand, but a lot of things are
Anything at all. Significant, significant. I'm not gonna work on it. He's the kind of and the same thing, yes, I actually, we're not aware of anything. So he told me that.
I wasn't here the last one, but I was here.
So you've got someone.
So let's vote. Okay, so what's that? So I went up there and I said, and so I said, it's okay. I said, I picked up my
There's never been a twice. I don't know.
One day it's slavery, next day it's race, next day it's COVID-19. Well, you even.
You guys went from Israel.
It's more like nothing.
You can't wait until it gets back to field and need.
Oh, not, I mean, 110. Lakes back there might be a village.
Well, in a lot of it is just limited in some capacity that we have. There's a lot of things we can do, or some things we can't do.
It's 25 years. That's the reason.
You're talking
So all of nursing.
Okay.
That's clerk. That's the second clerk, health education. There's two. Yeah, I got
I spent a lot of I live here, but I never really got to go.
That's what it's trying to do, is I'm going to get away from COVID. No, it's just not necessarily. Because that's the only thing we have. We did do a community health assessment study. Somebody goes back to 2015, 2017, it's after I think someone state has a report. We don't collect that. So we don't like the data, but there's something on well, not on COVID. I mean, we get like graduation. You guys get that? So my point is, we use this database to allocate this to see where we can where of course grants come down where the 5 grant to this better there. At this point, I cannot. Yes. Because right now.
Something that's good is 4 years old. I mean, they're not.
Like you don't have.
Oh, absolutely. Go out there and just beat the crap out of chocolate. Yeah. No, this is for sure. So I rarely reject it. I mean, I would love to. There are certain things. We go by the eyes, so there's stuff like there's some basketball, all the hard copies, literally, it's got $60,000.
$50. 5 bucks. Just a minute. We don't have that. Yeah. So when somebody says, what's your stats on this? I'm gonna solve it. Now, and if they get disclosure, they have a code. They get disclosure and see as to how
Contact tracing was just contact tracing. And then it was contact tracing. I'm just going from the start and.
So you don't get any of that. So
Very important job.
Well, they did last increase back in March 2021. Everything was the same. So they required you to transition. And the state had TCE.
Right, that was when they started doing
We're still around.
That was fine. But, and then if you're part of the action that you want to opt in, you say yes, no, and that's it. You don't want to call it and waste your time. So that was nice, that was helpful. But there's other stuff, like, first year, there's got some free software, and a couple $1,000 a year, I'm like, absolutely. Come out.
we do not have any.
That's where we all are now, that's all, that represents all of
Dealing
us.
with the CIA and the State Department and everybody else.
And that's why it's all.
That's why I enjoy Carol so much, Carol wants to
They gotta get.
The state nurses, we did it.
They gotta be sick, they gotta go.
State nurses.
Yes, everything that goes through.
Oh,
yeah. I'll look at
So
it.
that
Yes.
I was gonna ask you.
Oh, yeah.
I know what's going on. Today,
And you know what's going on. And you know what's going on. You know what's going on.
I thought he was like trying to redistrict Geauga.
That's true. That is true. We're involved.
You know, my view that way.
One of the fortunate I said last night. 25 years old.
Oh, good. Well, I don't know what I mean, you know, do license. Yeah. If it's really necessary.
Oh,
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes, you would change it with them.
You're gonna see this. Oh my.
So people ask, why do you ask?
Just tell us.
I didn't even do it.
What do you get?
I'm telling you, it makes no sense.
You know, that's a cousin of yours.
But you know what? But that could be symbolic. Yeah, and they were like, here's how we should argue about it. But it's better, right? And so. Are you crazy? That might. It's like a bird, so then you go get it, and then it doesn't show up, and they destroy the whole. Plus, it's got all the. Well, they're all been.
Well, but. That's what it's all about.
Yes, it is. Everything with its interest, right?
You know anything about both sides? They've been trying to both sides.
And now look at him, I can't, they try to take our money out, there's no money. I turn to God, people try to take all the money. I said, oh, yeah, we're gonna do that. Never got back to me.
You know what I you must have been here before, I know.
And then I go to them all, but you know what, I really think that a person who's like.
Yeah, but this was like a long ago, so. no,
Yeah,
this-
no, I did see that.
That's no time. It's all around the water. Yeah. I remember you telling me.
I don't care. It's on. It should be on. Who here?
I know, there's a lot of people.
Who's everybody?
I said a lot of people that is. Just letting you know. That's one No, this is actually. Yeah, and you know what? You know.
My job. Gary got his ass shot at in Vietnam because they didn't want him. They gave him a short time to get shot.
You know.
I mean, like you see here, they do not have universal agreement. Yeah, but you know,
United States, no, the people in some of these states, no, but I mean, even talk about.
Which ship are you in? Okay. Whereabouts is it? Norfolk, we're gonna have, you're not, you're not even allowed to go to the naval base. I have
And I've been on a
to.
ship.
Me too, because I have to do it.
Well, no, I mean.
that was your next thing. Sorry. I'm not sure the next one, but not to get started. No, actually,
Part of it actually is the atlas.
Well, no, they don't.
Because boys and girls live in a you don't put 18 and 19 in a it is a whole mess, and I will be in the Navy. No discipliners at all. Line officer. I was on an aircraft carrier, middle crew, ship driver, registered publications, security group, top secret, top secret that. I got it.
But I mean, so anybody.
Yeah, I think he started because the Marines don't know that, so they don't have
They don't have that, they really don't have. Every Marine pilot is a Navy wing.
Yeah. They
And
have
the
a,
Corvette.
and they have a joke saying they're not smart enough to be the doctor. They're not moral enough to be.
Unfortunately,
But they don't do the job.
no,
It's something that guys like to say.
you need to say things like that. You can't joke around, you're lost. My wife, if you were little.
What's on there?
To me, personally, they weren't dropping like flies. So we put together a study. We interviewed every. And
But they're
since they're basic scores, yeah. And at the end of it, I wasn't surprised at the direction of business. I was surprised at the magnitude of it. Really? Absolutely nothing. Zero. Well, there's something I have heard. Very good. How much do they work? Maybe they not.
Let's try this.
We did the last quarter of 18 and all of 2020, the first quarter.
But you know, I
Oh, yes, I understand.
yeah,
You know I enjoy our conversations. I always enjoy them. We talk every county commission meeting.
We're gonna be at the meeting, you better watch what he says.
Those were board questions. That was board questions. That was like a wish list. He's a doctor. He's a health official.
My name is
Check them off as they go by. Life is not yet over.
But, so I would keep in mind, it's hard to know there's 21 new COVID positions.
Yeah.
That was off the record statement, so we think that 21, which is a huge number. I think 5. Yeah. I heard the final number was, I think it's only 6. I mean, he's not.
We
He's
just have
a fashion I'm not there.
Yeah, you know, I think.
He started February 1st.
Okay, yeah, well, I think it's.
Catch you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know.
We got appointed. He said it was,
Great, my butt.
It's
not live, is it?
Oh,
thanks. All right, I'm moving.
You know, it's like church. You have your pew. Don't guess how your pew, right? Your pew number 4, your family's number 4. The minute you guys like number 4, we don't need you. You're missing 3. This is another mystery. That's why I got my study session. 9 o'clock on. My kids, I'm always on my back. In bed. You know, keep it up. And we met my kid with this down. My kid, wow, you don't sit in that section. My kid's like, I want to sit here, Grandma. I was like, listen. He goes, our section is over here. Like, there's some name on it. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, listen, you got it. Right? My dad will know too. He'd be like, that's all. Yeah, take care of it. You won't see again. Right. You're looking at number 8, you're not number 4. Number 4 is my view. Well, it's Mike. I did the same thing today. Dr. Cameron was over here, and I'm like, I looked at his there's something on it. I said, I don't know what it is. There's something on the meetings. And she goes, oh, she had to each other work around, and so they're all pushing one this way. Doing this, she's like, and I said, I'm 9 years old. I'm like, that's it. I said, we're supposed to do one this way. I said, I'm 9 years old. I'm like, I know. I said all the 10 times. I said, just 2 years. I was like, oh, no, I'm saying I'm 9 years old. Right. I'm like, I'm on my chair. So I'm the interim administrator. Yeah, so first I went to school actually to become a doctor, and I had my last class. My goal was to get enough medical degree to then go in the army. And yeah, I wanted to this I tried. I said, I'm not starting here. So the rest you like numbers, like you finance guy minor so I did the accounting / administration, and then I actually changed schools so I'm actually the administrator of the county. I did theirs. So I do different counties. I've been here for about 5 years as HR. We'll see if you guys no, I mean, I'd be about a contract municipal person. Let's say if you guys about 50 grand a year by having me keep I mean, I work a lot. But and then Mr. Quaid and I said, to be the actual yeah, also for cost savings. I mean, yeah. So it's all behind locked doors. So it's behind locked doors, like I can't show you. Yeah, there were bankers' offices. I would say. So the state, so the state said provide you no cost.
No, don't say it. Whatever they say, no cost to you.
I said, I need help. We have two nurses and there's and they're all, I'm senior person.
I never received it.
It's 2.5 everyone else is less than 2. So one of our
It works.
so they do vaccines, they reach out to all the huge. I asked him, he didn't come up here Yankee.
So usually right now, you see what's called either vaccine, not vaccine, and then they just.
No, so that can be 24 hours. So we did
Yeah, it looks really nice. I was always on.
so you're for us, you're
But not well, when you guys would have, when there were cases.
oh, that's what it is like. So obviously they're in here. So what's so late, I saw Shall I get it? So, we want them to check out.
Yes.
What if it's there's some good information.
But they'll still call you about the
Yeah, they call it. There's 1,000 people. So, I mean, those things, it's like Dr. Reese says, for me, myocarditis. She wrote a really nice, really great response. Just I forget what it was. It was super minor. They actually corrected all of it. Those statements.
I feel like oh, these are typical reactions or, after an infection. It's like something where it's just like, it's also very equal reaction. It's so clinical. It's so clinical.
In our quarter, our county is not purple, it ain't purple.
No. There are sections of this county that are glow in the dark. Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's the problem is he's like, so they were very proud.
and I've talked anecdotally seen what people are actually saying as their personal reactions on Facebook over 2 months ago, it's less than 2 months ago, about chronic urticaria. That's crazy. It was overloaded. People
They run public selling.
It's all over.
Well, there's just not very many people getting involved.
Right now.
You're like
Well,
dozens that are getting vaccinated.
So you're
Probably not say, all things equal,
I'm sorry, I'm not just.
yeah, we have, something we don't. No, it's chaos. As we are.
Obviously, I am on that side of the.
I mean, I'd rather do something here. I interviewed like
All online.
today.
So,
Yeah, today.
state.
Wow, okay. I mean, those my I know.
Oh, I would say,
Everything is.
I get this.
I found.
So it's been fun.
yeah.
And we're.
Was it one of the rain tickets?
I don't know if you I said my mother, it's like a video on that one. Every morning I'm like, and after that, before that, you get up 4 times a day, doing this and that. I'm like, yeah, but it's supposed to be monitored. We're both like that. Playable dog are just questions.
No, there's some there.
Well, so as far as I really want to stay, it's like mass. We're the only ones that stay in the I want to stay. You want to
See, and this is why I look at you're not like Delaware. Oh my God, Delaware County is just like. They have they do math. You'll appreciate this. So I think it's the 70, 75 year old demographic. They've managed to give it 700%.
it's always going to be above average.
It's not above average.
Or above.
above 100, and I think actually it's two different. It's like I want to say it's between 70 to 75 to count, and 75 to 80 or 65 to. I want to, but it's like over 100%. It's just like come on.
That's what's so hard. So ironically, I haven't really I do everything. There's no thought.
Yeah.
It isn't here. It's all stuff. I don't have a system that have access to use. It's not super. So we don't have that. That's not process. What software? What do we get? You know, this kind of stuff. I this is stuff I want to push out. Something ever gets but stuff like this and stuff, you can look at it in 2 seconds and understand.
So that's basically what I've been doing for like the last year and a half, but I've been doing it all those days, taking all the coronavirus out of Geauga and downloading the CSV files, all this stuff. Actually, I do believe they corrected some of the crap they called us because I was learning very like, well, the reason I believe there is to change the EDRS system because the EDRS system because I specified data. You guys had post-mortem infections going on and they sat there. They cleaned up now. I mean, we had some stupid things and they cleaned up.
Maybe tomorrow morning.
We don't have.
Honestly, I just.
Then you have all the different rules.
I don't know. Must be different. Yeah.
And this time frame, you didn't have time to do it.
No, I mean, they see Silverbacks with RB Sigma. They're actually in the system. If you look at schedule your report online. Your name, your date.
Because that's one other thing I like. You can easily falsify things, or you can take a contract to go and vaccinate.
There was supposedly cases a little bit over 10 vaccines. And still upright, you want to represent, it's probably lower. I mean, a joke, power. Yeah, there was, I don't know the person, but there was a statement that someone. Somewhere.
I mean, there's some people.
Supposedly, though, the this reason I.
I'll go back
Which is not true.
No, it's not.
So he thought he or she was one. Like, it could be just sort of like.
There's always consequences. But yeah, so what I've been doing is just going through the data that they put out there and trying to perhaps how it fits in with what the wine was there. Now that it's shown up.
I like each. So
Yeah.
if I give you a paragraph, you kind of go to the paragraph. You're going to infer something.
Yeah.
If you give 2 sentences,
I don't think so.
2 percentages, it's easy to say one time.
Yeah.
So then, maybe then you tell them why.
Yeah.
But, you know, in today's day and age, for 60 seconds.
I managed to keep people, interested on Facebook with my, of course, Facebook took me down. There was a study out of MIT, finished it, I think February 2021, where they did a survey of Twitter. People COVID denial.
I don't know anything about it.
But counter-visualization. And so they did a survey of all kinds of different counter-visualizations. And they worked in Facebook to spy on us, to do ethnography of us. We recorded everything we did and all of it. Yeah, they were definitely in my group. And they quoted me a bunch and then not terribly long after that.
Still master.
Yeah, I had like a group of 10,000 students. And
Are you?
yeah, I'm like, oh, just, it was like right after the politicians started.
I shoot Dustin with
Nobody with a 9 o'clock start. It's 10:30.
and you can
And not only that, but in the winter, I can't do 9 o'clock. In summer, Diane, I can't do it.
And then it just disappeared. So,
zero, buddy. It's gonna take a second. Zero. It's like.
you at least, you're an official body. I'm like, you know, because a lot of people shut my page down. And I started calling it misinformation from the state of Ohio. Oh, well, so they sorry.
No, you're fine. I feel like 3 miles of water. It's kind of just-
Orange campus.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
So far, they've been there for weeks. Like, Skip decided to run for Diane's.
Oh, no.
Oh, the other one.
Yep.
And he was preaching.
I think Pam probably does.
I would certainly, I would certainly, because like it must be.
I like Skip too. Yes, very different. Charlie Stevens. Have you ever been here for Stevens? Charlie Stevens.
Oh, this is what you, this is. Right. Really? And you know.
Downtown.
Because I feel like you know, it's going on. Yeah, wow.
And nobody cares.
We need a.
Skip, you need to get it under your skin.
Well, Sean knows I run at 9 o'clock, because I just unsubscribed to all of you guys. He's on too much. Didn't he leave all these photos and emails and even Methodist, makeup and Methodist?
I haven't been to the thing.
No, it's too much. But I did say to Bill, and I did say to Sean, that, yeah, 9 o'clock is like, it's all we can do, and, you know, it's the only way that.
Yeah.
And I know that just sounds so wrong. It's got you, jumping up and down, riding the bicycle.
Are you?
But, yeah, I mean, I'm so damn happy that
Oh, yeah.
jokes about it, and joking about it, you know he likes something, it's just like comfortable enough to make a joke about it. You know, I'm gonna go for donuts, or every Saturday night, you say, we have to go to church. Oh, you know, I'm gonna go for donuts, same joke every week. Oh my God, he's so sad.
I think it is.
But he's funny, and so, I think, yeah, I was that sad.
I think it is.
Well, it's about personality.
Yeah. Well,
I did say that, so I said that like.
and I could do without all the big screens and stuff like that, but.
Well, even the, even the South Russell Village.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Oh, well, thankfully, in fellowship, that's not so far. Like, we walk in and like 15 people come up to us. And we're just- in fact, the second week we were there, one guy was just like, "Yeah, so we got a men's group on this night, we got a ladies group." My husband just looks at me and goes, "On second time, dude." Because it was like,
They are.
so, I would say it was a very lively church, and there's like 18 readers. And, oh, even the parking people, that's hilarious, the parking guys out there waiting to us and smiling, thumbs up, and I said, yeah, but still, it definitely made it. I live, you know, I didn't show them some problems, you know. Only now, there's, you know.
Yeah.
You want to teach? I'm trying to see these things, so once you guys get behind the line, since I'm not in the. Tell me things now.
I just like to know what
And
they.
I
Oh,
would
They'll
hope
say something.
I would hope that those guys would stick it out. And one of the things that Scott, Scott even said to me, when I was like, telling him how they.
I'm trying to hold on.
This was so fine, so I going into the preparation, finally,
pastor and that kind of stuff.
He really is, I've been working to show us, a lot of churches, he's really easy to work with. They're all like, whatever, they really got it.
Yeah, and UFC, well, maybe UFC did it, and I was too blind to see that they're way the other way, like.
Oh, the Joe,
I'm teaching CRT in their Sunday school. No, but I just. That's that big, like, that's the one, they told you my mother was that's what we were for years.
Oh, they're good.
Oh, right,
Yeah, but-
seltzers.
No, I do like Jim, he's very good.
Oh.
You didn't want to see that.
You should have blonde hair. She married? That's a number. Okay, no, there's another family that adopted someone, so that kid's a big old church. But yeah, it's interesting because I love to see, but I didn't know about making a like really get moving on that with promise because my husband and I were here, was brought our own coffee, because I can't believe you guys are using styrofoam. What are you thinking? This is God's birthday, maybe it's a kid. And it was something that we in the middle for like thousands of years. So we bring our coffee mugs, we put these plastic straws and everything, like, put the cream in first and then we'll just put coffee over it. And we're like reading things, so I was kind of excited about like starting up a piece of just right there. This Mayfield, we did this birthday thing, and we did this, going to Edmonds and supporting the prison ministry. They brought you in, they see you and all that, for the prisoners and, but like, that aspect. There were some times that
I went to, I know this. I was curious because they.
Everybody should know the same thing.
I know exactly, and I was like, okay, but yeah, we were, actually, just being online, and then when you online, I was talking to numbers before he said, I was like, we don't need the health numbers, we can watch it. This is nothing King of the Rainbow. I used to go to the Baptist church, and I heard the lights were on. And she was able to turn me on the promise. I said, no problem. Oh, really? Oh, you got it. Now she's not. Oh, I think they might still.
What years?
I think she left there. I was not going to get this name. I did hear that this great religion, all the other things. So whether that meant getting on staff, church, that that's not visiting homeless, sick, whatever, I don't know. I did hear from all of the guys some staff members. Scott said this is what I saw.
I know, as Scott was saying,
I would say, this is really a shame because this is the church where the pastor made ever knowing him. And to come to see him every day.
oh, it's difficult.
I know, but somebody might.
Oh, there's difficult.
I don't think I've ever gotten that. And that's what states to be ministered to. Christians are not Jews, high, more holier than the highest And it's got.
Yeah, this one.
I'm actually to blame for that. You told me your story. You guys first started coming and we, it's like, and I never reached out. I've never reached out and called for my brother to go back and anything. And that's the problem. That's what we all need as a church to do, is to do more, like being together, communing together. This and that. So after we even said that, because at that point we hadn't found a new church, at that point we were just like, he still didn't reach out. So it's been 5 weeks now. And he still hasn't reached out. He still hasn't called to say, hey, we miss you.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. Well, if you need anybody, why don't you reach out to me? I mean, it's hurtful. It's hurtful. And I don't think Vince cares about whatever I do. He's a good guy. So let me research it and I'll trust her. Wherever they were. So now, where are you? Come back. Come back. Yeah, I'm supposed to call you. Did you really? Oh, no, I
Well, 3 hours meeting.
That's really loud with that happening. Wait,
I didn't know
Of course you did.
Sergeant?
That's the thing. When it's a check.
I like your show.
Let's name it itself. Yes.
We do. We're slipping.
Oh, yes. Our book facility, infrastructure. There's $100,000.
I haven't even seen the new building. I know, I've never been there. I know they're building it, I know how to. I see there's a big line of people. I know, everyone must have their own.
He's gonna export it.
No, there's not that many. But there's not that many. I mean, the board people don't have that far. Why are all those like, no, I don't remember.
Okay, so I have my nurse side. I wanted.
Anybody.
So we had to do it by Zoom.
Which is something you can do.
Probably they will.
Oh, so it's how the women's. Yes, and you know.
You should just go out there and sit in the chair. I know you do.
You need like the, don't get something like that. Carries my glass around.
A weapon. He got a Well,
At least they have videotape.
no, so videotape. Who's watching now? No one. Oh, I don't know where you go to watch this video. Is it Facebook Live? Or what is this? I don't know. I'm glad they're not having chat.
What is it?
Or you can type in.
Type in a question. I know. I'll just hide. I use my
And hour, 2 hours, that's it.
Oh, it's outlawed.
Great managed.
My.
You get put outside.
Why?
My mother-in-law, this is a story that I heard. Jerry had a brother-in-law interested in football, so he would come in on Thanksgiving and that football game was on. Yeah. And my mother-in-law walked up and turned the television off and said, "The television's broken." She's a sweetheart. I just can't imagine her doing that. She was a nice woman. Very lucky. Yes, you are. But you declined the cell phone. Your wife?
Still good. So.
That's where I want to sit.
So she was there, and she's like,
And then I'll see her in the grocery store.
You're the Russian one.
she's.
Oh, yeah. It's spontaneous.
So because
Yeah, that's what I figured. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Day one, in the field, what's the deal?
I can see. Overpaid.
Again, last election is 24. That is the same money. This year was the first real big
Is it the POW?
This is plain on bread.
Okay, all right. So,
I just say we move there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
oh, Leslie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it the right number? Let's make sure that's
That's
you.
Yeah, because I'm getting non-delivered, just sending it, just sending it.
That's so bizarre. Let's make it your iPhone and iPhone.
Yes.
You should not. I have a son of family. I actually went to school with some.
You might not be the Mario, we have like these big, we have. Mostly set for parking lot.
Oh.
Okay. We'll talk later.
And I'm sorry to say I don't get sick enough to talk to you.
No, that's okay. These girls are killing me, these kids. You know, coming up on around, things are fighting down. No, because I'd be there.
Oh, Rich has it. I don't want to go through the stuff. Rich has it.
Hopefully he'll do some.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
If not, I will get it before we start. Thank you. He has it. Patty LeBand.
You know what my name on the first?
I believe that.
It does.
I don't need autocorrects. I think that is. I don't
It
know
really
my
helps
phone.
them.
Party LeBand.
Yes.
That's good. I do phone thing for you.
Very good.
Party
People go,
LeBand. The truth hurts.
Apple knows.
That doesn't work out.
I live in Chesterland. I live off of East Hill. In between Geauga. So it's a street, west of Caves on Wilson Mills, Mulberry, and there's a little street called East Hill, past Caves before County line. I actually grew up on East Hill and then I moved back to Oak Hill when I came back 38 years later. I didn't make it, you know, I ended up graduating in Nevada, but my three older siblings, 76, John, my brother's 76, my sister Roseanne was 78, my sister Lisa's 79. Yeah. A lot of cousins. Yeah, that's really, it's so nice working. When I was at Metro, it was driving down to Severance, it was just, Metro was great though.
You got real quiet real quick.
There's-
Party LeBand's here.
Party LeBand's here.
Yeah. That's all it took. That's all it
That's
took.
all it took. You should see my office. My MA and I have the same birthday on Friday. And I just have 80s decorations all up and down our hall, like balloons.
You gotta have fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have fun. It's just
Apparently
not-
UH doesn't check on us very much.
Right. Then you guys have too
I'm
much
sure
fun.
it's a health hazard to have balloons in your hallways.
Paperwork that Trevor gave me available. He needs that probably.
Oh, you need it back? Yeah. You know what? It's what to do. Thanks for adding for your.
No, I feel you.
Last year. He sent a note back.
Yeah. Do you have that? Do you have that? I can get it real quick. I just don't want to forget. Favorites.
All right, just.
I just don't want to forget because I want to make sure I got it. I can scan it. Just scan it.
I got it. You sure? Yeah.
Trevor, do you mind if I scan an email to them?
Such a pen stealer.
You can, right? Just email it
And I
to
don't know, I'll get them
me.
now. So I don't, I tell people don't get them this
I'll
time.
give you my email address. Just send it to me. I'll just send it right to them.
I'll scan one.
Yeah, she
This
has,
is from Heidi, I believe.
I don't think cards on. I think there's no down there.
Yeah, this is Heidi, I believe.
All right, so we'll move on to the executive session. And then this is.
All the site is out the infos, so I just don't want you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then, effective tomorrow. And then, this will be removed.
Everyone's super excited to learn about finances, right?
So,
There's
Yeah.
nothing more exciting than finance. I can tell you that right now. You're like, he's a liar. We just learned that. He's a liar. He obviously lies.
You did yourself away.
Right.
You outed yourself.
Oh, finances.
Yeah, but we'll get through this, okay.
You ready to go back in?
10 hours.
Yeah, you ready? Okay, yeah, so we're out of executive session. It is, what time is it? 7:23. So, in an executive session, we had some discussions. So do you want to, we're gonna make a motion, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. You wanna make a motion regarding, the administrator?
Yes, yes, I'd like to make a motion and move to appoint Adam Litke as Geauga Public Health Administrator, effective tomorrow, which would be February 24th, 2022. And also to remove the interim from your current contract. And then we've got the other contract.
So we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, Dr. Jones. Dr. Levan.
Yes.
And Mr. Gregg.
Yes.
And Perino votes yes. Okay, that passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You are now permanent.
Just, if I could just make a couple comments on that. You know, with the whole process we did, we had advertised and hired a new commissioner. And then we had, we did interviews for the administrator candidate. And just to let you know what our reasoning was on this, we had many applicants, okay? And after interviewing the best of those candidates, we decided unanimously to hire Adam into this position. Adam started with Geauga Public Health a little over 5 years ago to assist Geauga Public Health with our audits with the state of Ohio. Adam's been instrumental in identifying and correcting several outstanding issues we had with previous audits to a point where our latest audit was nearly perfect. He's been very instrumental in the coordinating of several transitions within Geauga Public Health over the last several years, including those transitions from Commissioners Weisdack and Quaid, and the latest transition to full-time administrator and part-time health commissioner organizational hierarchy. This past year, Geauga Public Health was awarded state accreditation. This wouldn't have been possible without the hard work done by all of our Geauga Public Health staff, including that of Adam Litke. Adam has been unilaterally praised by many, if not all, Geauga County's legislative and coordinating boards, including but not limited to commissioners, trustees, school boards, clinics, hospitals, Health Division Advisory Committee, and community groups with regard to Geauga Public Health's response during the COVID epidemic. Adam has developed and nurtured many new and existing relationships with the prosecutor's office, other boards of health, and community groups that have resulted in cost savings, grant approvals, and procedures that ensure the best practices for Geauga Public Health are being followed within our health districts. Lastly, we believe that Adam has had an ear to the ground and an openness to listen to the residents of Geauga County. The Board of Health will continue to assert that every Geauga County resident deserves to have their voice heard, and we believe that Adam has been instrumental in facilitating that. In summary, these are a few of the reasons that we've chosen to select Adam as the full-time administrator of Geauga Public Health. We believe he is the best qualified for the job and will only make us better qualified to provide for the needs of Geauga County. Thank you, Adam. I have another motion. If I can read this now. I'd like to move to enter into a legal agreement with the Flannery Corgalis law firm and to hire Brian Costura as our attorney and authorize Adam Litke to sign contracts upon presentation.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, let's do roll call. Dr. Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Levan.
Yep. Okay,
Mr. Gregg.
Yes.
And Perino, yes. So that passes. Congratulations. We have a new representative from the law firm. Thank you very much. Okay. Old business.
Old business, new business.
EH committee meetings.
We did not have.
We did not have
had
any.
it since last one, no.
Okay. Administrator position, we could skip that one?
Yep. I'll do an update for administration though, or for the administrator position.
Okay.
We kind of skipped that one just so you guys get the executive, it's not waste Brian's time. So I give you my update, obviously. We did go to Chardon schools as well last night. Actually, Rich happened to be there as well. So we did talk to the Board of Education there and kind of just talk to them a little bit, and also the superintendent. It was a long meeting. I think they beat us on time. 6:30.
4 hours?
Yeah, 6:30 it started. And I think 11:45 is when he said they got out of there. 11:15. That was a long meeting. So that was a good one. Other than that, the other one thing to mention was that when we talked about the live stream that's going on today. If someone would like to take the comments, because you have comments from someone outside of here, during your 2 minutes, you can ask whatever you want during your 2 minutes. We don't give additional time though. If you want, like, if you say, I'm speaking for 5 people, you don't get 10 minutes. You get your 2 minutes. But we don't actively engage the live chat. You can't ask questions to other people. Just a clarification, there's a little bit of confusion on that as we were waiting for you guys to come on.
And they can email us.
Correct, yeah, they can always go to the Geauga Public Health website, and there's an email there. Those emails will come in. Alta Wendell, who's at the end here, then sorts them out. So there's no bias or anything, and then we send those out to whoever they're supposed to go to, whether it's the health commissioner or the board of health or anyone else inside the health department. So those do go down.
Able to, I don't want to open a can of worms,
Mhm.
but maybe email if they have a question or just a comment that could be fit within 2 minutes. I mean, well, I guess it's no different than somebody else getting up for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've held to, we don't extend anyone's time just
No,
because
right.
it becomes that issue
If
of,
they have a,
yeah.
right.
You're saying have somebody
I
actually
just thought,
monitor?
or like if someone said, I'd like this to be brought up at the meeting during the public comments, that person's email is their 2 minutes or,
Yeah,
I
so
mean, it's a thought,
if
but,
someone emails us ahead of time, I usually pass it out to all of you, which,
Okay.
you know, I'm gonna guess November, December was the last time we had a lot of them.
Mhm.
That's why you should send all of you, and then, you know,
Yes.
you couldn't
Okay.
discuss it internally, but you could have an idea as to what the question
so
was.
the
when you
public
were
wouldn't know, it would be just for us,
Correct,
I guess.
yeah, it was usually just a forwarding of an email,
Sure.
especially if they say, please give the Board of Health,
Mhm.
it then goes to you as the Board of Health.
Right.
So that is that. We did purchase 3 new softwares. They were approved by ADP. That's those softwares.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, they're actually company 119. With
Oh.
ADP.
Forget it.
They're far more handsome than the ADP guys,
Yeah, yeah.
right? No, so we did have 3 new softwares. Those are for the epidemiology team, which is under Carol. As most of you know, everything we do is via paper right now. So this allows us to have a lot of statistical abilities and other things on these 3 softwares for an exceedingly low cost of barely even $1,000 a year was the most expensive one. So it'll take us kind of into the, you know, maybe at least 2020. But we are going to keep up with
21st
that.
century, is that
Right.
like I was talking?
So we are keeping up, because what I would like to do is the document that everybody got today, this one with the state map on it, I would like to provide more of this type of information. It's
Yeah, that's
concise enough where, you know, anyone, if you got it today, you can look at it and you can interpret what it says versus a giant paragraph explaining why lead levels are high in Geauga County in blood. Okay, but if I give you a statistical data point of 46% compared to 36%, you understand what that is. So I'd like to do more of this. Also, when it comes to social media, this probably is going to go across well versus a giant wall of text, which most of us don't read anymore. You know, we're trained now for like 10-second and 30-second videos, not walls of text.
Right.
So we're looking at more of these options, different things that we can do internally for the different things that we have, and then also to help staff understand that as well. You know, maybe a staff member doesn't know that we have extremely high blood levels here in Ohio in general, actually. These are things that the staff can use as well that might not have that access. So those were a couple of things approved. ADP was also gracious enough. We will hopefully have an iPad for our person that does the Facebook and website, so she can do a little bit of graphical type stuff and put out a little bit better product on there. So that's gonna be a big step forward for us as well. So huge thank you to ADP. And then also the building, we're still going over the new building, monitoring that, and see where we're at with that. Hopefully moving date of end of May, beginning of June. So
What was the big topic at the Sharp meeting that was so long last
I'm gonna butcher it, but it was like a reconfiguration. Todd's actually on the board.
Oh.
It was a so they did a reconfiguration back in 2018. They had a group that wanted to go back to the pre-reconfiguration.
What were they refiguring?
It's how the
grades
schools and
of
classes.
The kids, where they go to school at, I guess.
So it was 2-hour presentation. It was a long presentation. Yeah, so we, Rich and I sat through that, and the main point was to let the boards of education know. I've gone to four out of the 5 schools. The other one I've talked to. Unfortunately, Bill Kremnevere, who is the superintendent for Cardinal Schools, he resigned recently. I think end of June is his last day. He's a huge loss for the community. I mean, he very intelligent. They had a pandemic response team that did very well. balanced, I'm gonna call them pro-COVID-19 and anti-COVID-19 people, balanced them out very well, had his principals there, fantastically well run. He did a very good job. He felt the need to exit though, and those aren't positions that a warm body fills. Those are positions that take years of cultivating, years of working with the public, years of understanding where the pulse is at. And, I'm hopeful that Nancy Santilli, who's in Kenston, Rich Marquardt, who's in West Geauga, your Dr. Hanlon in Chardon, I'm hoping all of them stay. I mean, they're huge assets to the community that you don't just get back tomorrow. It's not how that works. Not to mention all the private schools, the Catholic schools, and everyone's homeschooling. I mean, those are things that you don't get back overnight. When someone leaves like that, you're down and out for years. So it hurts the community. So anyways, that was the thing. It was, so we went there and said thank you to them. Yeah. I think that is it from my side.
So, do we have to read this, or is this?
That's on the next one. That's your next item.
Okay.
Sorry, new business, sorry. The first one's the budget, and then we can do the budget last if you want. That's the presentation.
Okay, so,
That's new business B.
so we need to read this.
Yeah.
So supplemental appropriation, we're gonna skip down the agenda from A to B. Move 2.23.22-B to increase the 6002 Board of Health other expenses by $20,000 and contract services by $4,000. 6023 sewage other expense by $20,000 and contract services by $2,500, and 6037 for sale of property, other expense by $25,000 and contract services by $2,500.
The only addition to that is the 6021 public health infrastructure, also known as FEP. That'll go up $100,000. That was added to here. And we'll take up public health infrastructure, other expenses by $100,000. And those are the grant we have, that funding. We have not gotten around to retrofitting the 2022 budget with everything going on right now. We'll probably have to do that in March. So this was just an addendum to get us through.
So do we want to vote on it?
Yeah, you can vote on that.
So I guess okay, a second. Okay, Dr. Levan, let's go with that
Oh, switching it up.
one.
Yes.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Gregg,
Yes.
and Moreno, yes. Okay, that one passes. Okay, so you want to do the budget?
If we do B or we do C and,
You want to go to C?
yeah, we do C. Well, it's C and D, we get out of the way, then we do the budget.
So you want to read that one, Dave?
No.
Okay. Move 20.
Contacts are gone.
Okay. So the next thing is move 2.23.22-C to approve the contract with Conduit Community Health Services to provide services to develop the Geauga County Community Needs Assessment not to exceed $40,000. Do we have a motion? A second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Gregg
Yes.
and Dr. Levan
Yes.
and Dr. Jones.
Yes.
And Moreno, yes. Okay.
We did a levy real quick, that's an easy.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the Geauga County Public Health Levy. We've enjoyed the use of that levy for a number of years now, I think 3.5 or 4. And so it's going to be coming up, so you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the levy, to the information I was given, is about 25 years old this cycle. It is not, to anyone's knowledge here, has not been done a replacement, it's just been a renewal every time.
So it's been the same amount for 25
Correct.
years?
Yeah, with exception if property values go up or down, obviously that can change. In 2023, which we'll look at the budget here in a little bit, it goes up to about $623,000. It's been about 550-ish in there. 575 is, I think, the largest I remember off the top of my head in the past 5 years. An agency with 25 staff, that doesn't go very far. And I asked some historical knowledge from Alta, and she said not long ago we were 35 staff. That number's slowly been coming down year after year after year. Right now we're at 25. Obviously, part of that is the cost savings of the contract you guys have had with me. Instead of hiring a person to do finance HR for a long time, that saved $40,000 to $50,000. Other contracts that we do. New programs we've tried to start or have started, things of those nature to offset that. But the reality is we either need to start talking about a levy replacement, a renewal, or a new levy. Obviously, I'm not too sure a new levy is gonna do very well. Replacement still might have the same feel to it. Renewal, my only concern is nurses don't wanna work for $24 an hour. Clerks don't wanna work for $10 an hour. And up until recently, we were paying clerks 10 to $12 an hour. Now they're at 16. And that was just to stay competitive within reason.
We just
Nurses,
revise it, or?
we can, it's just we need the funding to do it, because obviously, 3% it adds up pretty quick. And then the reality is, wherever inflation goes, which none of us know, 3% isn't 3% anymore. Not saying one way or the other what we do at this point, but those are conversations that are becoming harder and harder, especially when probably one here can go see, Walmart down the road, 17 hours night shift, 18 hours night shift. Not that it's not harder to work there than it's here. It's just, when you see those numbers, especially younger people, right? We're trying to lure, when I say lure, we're trying to attract younger people to come here, or just employees in general.
Right.
The OPER, which is our retirement system, Ohio Public Employee Retirement System, is not what it used to be. That used to be the reason alone to join the public entity was, generally you and your spouse were covered for health insurance for life. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. You had longevity, little bumps that would go up. It was a very good retirement system. And sometimes your employer picked up both shares. I don't remember that here, but that was something that happened occasionally. Those benefits are all gone. And now even the employee doesn't have their health insurance covered anymore. Now it's you on the open marketplace with a stipend. I think that takes effect in 2023 or 2024. Those perks are gone. The health insurance is still good, but the health insurance isn't like before where you had almost paid nothing. Obviously everyone's health insurance is going up. But all those factors, when you add all those things together, it's not as easy to attract people. We don't really do sign-on bonuses. We don't pay for education. Those things that, were once luxuries are becoming more and more common. We don't do those, and we don't have the budget to do them. So those are all things that as an entity, we need to start looking at closely, because if I remember correctly, the levy ends in 2023. The last collection is the end of 2024. You figure if it fails once, maybe, you only get 2 or 3 tries at this at best, and that's if we start pretty soon.
Okay.
So those are all things we need to get right. Yeah, go ahead.
So, you said the levy brings in about roughly $600K a year. What is the total, what's the rest of the revenue coming
Yeah,
from?
so the rest of the revenue is fees, fines, permits, grants, things of that nature. It varies year to year. Obviously right now, COVID, the past 2 years, the grants are way up. And because we don't really have much grants. I think everyone's aware of that. I think I made that presentation, it's maybe newer. 2 years ago or so, I made that presentation that we really don't have a lot of grants here now. 1, because we're a very healthy county, and 2, we're not incredibly diverse. And so those 2 things play against us in some grants, depends on what grant you're applying for. The FET grant, which is the one we actually talked about tonight, that one's been decreasing over the years. It actually increased recently, but it was actually a merger of 2 grants is why it did it. We used to have the WIC grant that was transitioned to Lake to do cost savings. 6 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years or something like that. That grant has consistently been cut since we've had it almost every year. Get Vaccinated Ohio, GBO, that's been going down. Trying to think, WPCLF, which is the one that's been going down from 300,000 not very long ago to 150. Those things are all coming down, which eats up cost, which is why everyone's looking to, what can we do cost savings, what can we cost sharing, because those costs are they're really going up. And they're getting up there. Levy wise, it's hard. It's, you have to justify to the public, why you need what you need. And do we need it? Yeah, but maybe the public doesn't feel the same way. Maybe they do. Those are real issues to think about. And now is not the best time to be looking at a levy, I would imagine. For anybody for that matter. Even safety forces probably has a tough time at this point. So these are some things we need to look at, especially if we want to be competitive into 2025, 2026, 2027. It's hard to find nurses that want to work for $24 an hour, $25 an hour. Maybe a retirement gig, maybe. It's hard to do other positions as well. $20 an hour is not $20 an hour anymore in terms of what you thought $20 an hour was. And if you got a 4-year degree and a little bit of debt on there, that's a tough pill to swallow. So those are all things we need to look at. We made some small adjustments over the time that I've been here, nothing significant, but small changes to keep epidemiologists, to keep other positions. But it's going to be a real struggle. I mean, as you all know, I think ODH had mentioned to one of you, there were supposedly 21 health commissioner positions open at the end of 2021. Since I've been in public health, only 7 years granted, I don't know last time there was more than a couple of them. I mean, they're usually filled so fast. They've got a deputy somewhere, they've got somebody's ready to take a position. So for them to say open, that made me think they're not just ready to be filled like tomorrow. Assuming that number's correct and they weren't exaggerating, those are all things to consider, but those are realities. So it's just something to look at. Obviously, we as public employees cannot do the legwork of the levy on company time. That's done off time, which is hard to do, obviously. And then you need the funds to do all those things, to run a campaign. So those are all things that, as the Board of Health, I would hope, if we can talk about this the next coming board meetings, we can get an idea of who wants to help that. Mr. Perino helped last time, if I remember correctly. But these are all things that it's fastly upon us.
Dave, I think, helped too.
Okay. Yeah, so, nothing's gonna blow up tomorrow, but things that we do need to start looking at pretty seriously if we're gonna look at doing a replacement, a renewal, a new levy. Those are all things we'll have to do. I'll try to work with Chuck Walder to determine what those dollar values would be. Right now we're at a 0.2 mil levy. And I asked Alta to figure out who is the lowest in the county, and she said as far as she knows, we're still the lowest in the county at 0.2 mils. So 0.2, yeah, it comes out to 0.0 when you do the percentage thing. So all things to consider, all things to look at. Obviously the Board of Health is going to be a driving force with that, with a lot of those things, with your guys' talents and connections and, how to get the message out. So just something we need to think about very quickly.
Great.
All right, then we can jump to the budget if you'd like to.
Everybody ready for the budget? Okay.
All right, nothing that's exciting like finance.
Yeah, the numbers.
All right, so this is just a general look at our budget in general, and it's the hanging lights, not helping things. So 6002 is the Board of Health Fund. So that's more or less our general fund, as we hear it termed as, in terms of cities, townships, villages, stuff like that. That's our general fund. Our projected beginning cash balances, those are something I do right. I'm very conservative with those balances. So we look at what we have right now. I usually subtract 20%, and that's how we get those numbers. Usually they're lower than the reality, but I don't want to be higher what our beginning cash balance are, because then, that's not a good thing. The other important funds that had the most impact on things we tend to do here are the 6023, which is sewage treatment, and the 6037, which is for sale of property. So those are the bigger funds we have. Also, in terms of staffing, but not so much the income of the fund, 6042, which is population health. That's where I put most of our nursing division at. That was a change recently because most of the nurses were housed in the general fund, and it makes it very hard to determine expenses when you have a ton of people in a single fund. So those are there. The revenue and expenses, again, keep in mind, we're trying to do a budget 10 months before it actually takes effect. We revise this in November of each year. These numbers are just the best we come up with, and then we revise it in November like we always do. Revenue minus expense, I look at that to see which funds maybe are carrying their weight, which ones aren't carrying their weight. And some of this, if you take 6042 as an example at the bottom, that looks negative, but the reason that's negative is because most of what nursing does is state mandated with no funding. So tuberculosis and things like that, they're state mandates with zero funding source. So you're gonna do all the work and we're expected to pay for it. The public health emergency preparedness grant, or it's 6021 on here, public health infrastructure. That grant requires that we have what they call the triad, which is the health commissioner, EH director, and the nursing director. It also requires you have an epidemiologist on staff who's 100% allocated to that grant. That funding does not cover all of that, as you can tell, at $135,000 roughly. So those are all things to consider. Obviously, most grants don't go up a ton. They stay steady if you're lucky. They tend to go down unless you get new grants. So when people get raises or health insurance goes up, those all come into play. And again, I'll reiterate for the fifth time, these are just the best numbers we have right now, because one grant will throw this whole thing into chaos. It'll be one grant. Transfers in and out, mostly those are just to make the funds whole, is all they are, and make sure they don't go negative. Usually I do transfers November, December of each year. So November, December of 2022, we'll do transfers all over the place to make the funds whole and get them the ability to survive in the start of 2023. We are legally obligated to do this budget, not because necessarily it has the best numbers involved, but we are legally obligated because we take this to the county commissioners, the budget commission. We then state our positions why our budget is what it is. They will tell us something they want to see different or what they like, what they don't like, and then they put that in place for 2023. Now, a lot of this is going to be because of your tax assessment, or sorry, your levy, which is what we're going to look at in the next slide, because they have to do that a year in advance. So the general fund, which we're not moving. Hold on a second. Let's do manual here. All right. So the general fund, which is 602, property and other taxes, $632,000. It's a little bit different than that, but I just round these numbers for the budget side. Then we have fees, fines, or fees, inspection fees, permits, other miscellaneous revenue, and transfers in. We have our expenses, which is mostly salary, contract services, and hospitalization, obviously. So looking at that, again, that's the general fund. 6023, again, another large fund. Mostly going to be your inspection fees and your permits. So this is our sewage fund. Most of your expected expenses, because we're a service organization, are all personnel related. Obviously, we buy vehicles and things of that nature, which we do have some updates to our vehicles need done. But those are most of the expenses. And then 6037, which is for sale of property, which is again, another one of the largest funds. That one is inspection fees, $319,000. Again, most of the costs are all personnel related, as you'd expect. And that is that. There are obviously other funds. You guys get a glimpse of those, look at those, but they're nothing to write home about. They're mostly smaller funds, and some of them, like swimming pools, will have $4,500 in it the entire year. Private water. They're mostly smaller things. We take this budget to the HDAC March 23rd. We will then let them see. They'll look at the budget. They do know, and I always tell them again, we're going to revise this in November. It'll probably look nothing like it does. We change this by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Once we know what the grants are going to be, the personnel is going to be, the starting cash balances, again, I keep those low simply because if things do go bad, I don't want to be scrambling to figure out how to find money. We have the money to keep the funds going at least for a little while. That's the majority of it. As everyone here knows, or most of you guys know, the November budget the county approves in December, then it becomes effective 1/1 of whatever year is coming up. We then do another budget revision, usually in February or March, that takes us through the rest of the year. I try to have your November budget be the one that we're going to use most of the year. And because we're not a super complex entity, it doesn't necessarily need to be revised 3 or 4 times. We do small revisions like you see on here, mostly for grants, contracts, things of that nature, but they're mostly small in nature in the grand scheme of things. For the past 5 years, I want to say, the county has had minimal comments. I think the first year was a little bit rougher. The 4 years after that, I give them a presentation every year and has been very well received, I would say, or at least fairly well received. And mostly what they're looking for is, are you hiding money somewhere? Are you trying to avoid telling the public you have money? Things like that. That's my understanding. I don't want to speak for them. That's my understanding. So we will do the budget commission meeting. I want to say it's in May, if I remember correctly. It's like May 10th or something like that off the top of my head, with the budget commission. So that's kind of where the budget stands. Again, we're in a good place right now. My bigger concern is obviously staff retention, salary, what happens to health insurance, and then just lack of grants or other income. And obviously the levy. The levy is the $1 million question here, or at least $632,000 question. So those are just some thoughts on the budget. We'll take it to HDAC, and then obviously we'll revise in November pretty heavily. We just did the last one in November.
Any questions?
All right.
Anything else?
Move for approval.
Yeah, you have to do that because we have to take it to HDAC.
I'd like to move 2.23.22A to approve the 2023 Geauga Public Health Budget as presented.
Okay. We'll do roll call.
Yep.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
Dr. Levan,
Yes.
Moreno, yes. Mr. Craig?
Yes.
All right. Then just go to the next meetings.
Okay, so the next thing is, we do want to have a special meeting next week. I've heard Tuesday or Thursday. Will that work for everybody? Will that work for you, by the way?
I was like, I didn't know about this meeting.
No, we just,
Next
Tuesday or Thursday.
Tuesday, which I guess we know which day because we'll have to put out a notice.
So, I mean, are you okay?
Either is
Yeah.
So what do you guys,
Tuesday.
you want Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Well, we're
Tuesday's
putting-
the March 1st.
We're putting them under the
Tuesday's
gun.
First,
Mhm.
so the first or the third, either does, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And also make an announcement, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we get that out.
We'll get that.
But Thursday be better than so you can get time.
Camera.
Either one.
So you want to do the first, guys?
Is that enough time for you to get an announcement?
Yeah, we have
out?
to do 24 hours notice. I try to do more than that though, because it doesn't always have the best appearance when you do 24 hours notice, so.
We probably should go to third to give,
Yeah.
to give our source a
Yes.
couple days.
Thursday
maybe.
sounds good.
Sorry.
Okay, so you want to do
Let's do Thursday.
the third, okay, so 3-3?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock. And if we can't do it here, we can do it
Um,
somewhere else. Sure. And
What time?
We're gonna have to call in our attorney.
Okay, what time?
5 o'clock?
That's
I
good.
do have a meeting with KSU for our internship that day. It's at 2:30 though, so I should be back. It'll be tight, but it'll be close. Yeah.
You wanna do 5 or later?
5 works.
Five.
Five is good. If-
We'll get started with that.
All right.
And the other thing is our next month's meeting gets moved to Monday because of HDAC.
Correct, we need to go over that, yes.
And I won't be here at the
Yes.
monthly meeting. Was
Right.
it somebody else gonna be gone?
Lynn's
I
gone
think it was
today.
Dr.
Cameron.
Cameron's not, but Lynn will be back, so we'll still have 4 people.
So our next regular meeting of the Board of Health will be moved to March 21st at 5 o'clock. Be right here in this building. And then also for those of you, the annual HDAC meeting, that's a meeting where we present our budget, and then the HDAC will elect a new board member. Mr. Greg's term is up. He is running again, though.
Just not sure yet.
So far.
And that will be here at the same building as well on March 23rd at 7:30 PM.
And I will have cookies there, whoever said that earlier. He's tired, going, yeah, I will.
I concur with that decision. Variety or like one kind?
I don't know, I'm just gonna be, I feel whimsical that day.
I mean, it's a deal breaker if you're not going, I'm just telling you.
Right.
You gotta be one.
So we need to sign this, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right.
Aye.
Yep, I see you guys the Easter here.
I didn't tell them.
Brian?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes.
And when they,
Hey.
when they look at me.
Yes. Carol. Yes. Email, if you go to the website, Geauga Health, there's email you can go at, remind me your name, and say you're talking